Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today I am continuing work on my travel journal. I've got all of my signatures put together. I did incorporate the pages I made in my last video with the book pages with the different languages on them. And I ended up expanding to 4 signatures from 3 because it just ended up being a little bit too chunky. And I've attached those signatures to a piece of cardboard, and this is going to go inside of my journal. And I'm going to do that today and start working on the front inside panel of the journal. But I wanted to show you some things that I have put together. I'm trying to streamline my assembly process. So I went through and I had all those little bits of paper left on my desk, and I made all these little snippets where I took some packing paper and little bits of cutoffs and paper and just stapled them together to start making some clusters. So I've got a whole pile of those, and these would go great in any journal. So I know I'm not going to use all of these, but I just used up all the scraps that were sitting there. I made those. And this is similar. I glued these instead of stapling. They were too big for my little mini stapler I have. And I used some map pages and more of the book pages and some graph paper and just started some clusters. And I've got fussy cuts and things I'm going to add on to that. I took some fabric and made a bunch of little trims. I sewed some lace on. I made a couple of cute clusters so that I had those fabric clusters to work with. So I've got a pile of those, and I'm hoping this is going to let me just kind of go through and enjoy the decorating process without having to build each individual element. I know a lot of people mass make, and so I'm trying to embrace that. I've been watching a lot of content lately, and there's a lot of mass making going out there. And I finally busted out that embroidery hoop, and I used the needlepoint cloth that came with it, and I like that because I could use the little grid pattern. Let me hold that up to kind of make everything even, and I'm curious to see how that looks. I'm going to just cut these apart and use them as layering components as well. Now I started a little close together up here, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to cut these apart. I might make like one big chop on that, but I started to spread out more as I went further down. So this is an experiment. I've never done this in a hoop like this before, so we'll see how. But I do like how nice and neat it is, so I'm going to see how this goes for me. All right, so now on to the fun stuff. Let me clear all this away, and I'm going to bring my journal in. And let me show you, I have a small detail. So I just used brown cardstock to attach these signatures to. I used a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I used some gold ink. Let me see if I've got that. Ooh, reaching over. I've got this archival Brilliance Galaxy Gold. I used this and did it very liberally with a stencil so that the little bits of this cardboard that's going to show after I put my front and back inside covers on will have a little bit of interest in there. And also in between the signatures, when you get to those spaces, there's going to be a little bit of pattern in here as well, and that makes me happy. So I took a moment. I find that ink takes quite a bit of time to dry before it wants to come off on your fingers for quite some time. So I did it and let it dry overnight just to not have to worry about it rubbing off while I was manhandling it, getting the signatures attached. So I did knot my signatures, the thread on the outside, and I've got just a piece of washi tape here holding those ends down. And where's my glue? I reorganized yesterday. I got one of those rolling 3-tier carts and took a lot of the stuff that was just rattling around in bins here on my desk and put them in the cart, and it's fantastic. But now I have to relearn where everything is. So what's the best way to do this? I am going to glue this part, though I find, honestly, when I do this, I don't know if I'm just not doing a very good job, not enough glue. We're going to use a lot of glue today and put this part in first. But it wants to pop up on me sometimes, and that could just be a fit issue. But I just drip a bunch of glue down in there and shove it down, and it's usually okay. It is possible that maybe I should just leave it loose, because I know sometimes when you buy books, that that part of the binding is like it curves on the inside. I'm not an expert bookbinder. I am a hobbyist junk journal maker. So these are all very good questions. If you know the answer to that, should I be gluing this hidden spine down in the middle? Or is this all wrong? All right, let's see if I can center this up. It's gonna turn. You're not gonna be able to see very well, but I did size this so that, there we go. Just kind of push that down. And then I'm gonna glue each side, I think. I don't know. I don't think there's a good way to do this. Or I've gotten myself in trouble. Let's just, I know this glue, if you like kind of pull it apart and stick it together a few times, it does stick really, really well. This glue is nearing the end of its life. Let me swap to the other bottle. I have them upside down. It's 2 of them. I'm trying to use them up. There we go. And this one's going to be sassy. And the glue has gotten a little bit thick too here towards the end of the bottle. All right, let's make sure we get the edges really well. Though those will be covered up, so I'm not too worried. That back upside down. And my bone folder. I feel like I'm making this extra awkward today. I probably could have overlapped my fabric inside here just a little more. I think I'm just getting by. I figured if I feel like it doesn't look good once everything is in, I can always cover something up with a little lace or whatnot, but that actually isn't too bad. That comes right up to the edge. I'm not even sure that I have centered this properly. I mean, you just slide this down a bit. You know what? We're gonna leave it. The pages are in the book. They're a little high. All right, now I gotta fix it. All right, guys. You're watching me make mistakes today. Let's just pull this up, slide down just a little bit, and restick it. Fortunately, that glue works really, really well when you unstick and restick. All right, try again. I know it's hard to see. I'm just using my bone folder to press down on that panel to get it to stick. All right, let's do the other side. That's better. They were really sticking up. This is a very tight, the pages, I didn't trim them down, and so it's a little bit of a tight fit, but it's not an unreasonable fit. I could have trimmed them down some, or I could have used a bigger box, but I felt like that was effort and I did not want to do it. So this glue is all jammed up. Let's try the other one again. I felt like I was going to be all on point today and just get in here. I'm like, it's just gluing a spine in. How hard could it be? Apparently very hard. All right, put that down, and I've clearly gotten glue on something I shouldn't have because my fingers just touched some glue. Oh, right there. See if I can, sometimes it just rolls up. There we go. You can't really see it, and I'm sure I'll decorate that. So, all right. So I'm definitely gonna have to let that dry really, really well before I get to the decorating part. Let me press this all in. Check that the other side is, yeah, there we go. Everything, I did pre-crease that brown cardstock so that it was hinging in the correct space. And it should be opening up okay. Looks a little tight. Let's see. See if that needs to slide. Oh, it's not tight. I just put my cover piece on and it's chunky. Maybe I should have left that off. All right, so I'm gonna leave that to dry and then I will be back and I'm gonna work on the inside cover. I've got this great panel all ready to go on the inside. All right, this seems to be good and dry. See here, and everything is glued down. It's not buckling, at least not yet. Sometimes it pops up later on and then I just fix it. It is popped up a little bit on the bottom. Just push that down. Right there. All right, so moving on. I can come back to that later if I want to. I am going to work on a couple of different things. So, move everything out of the way. So I've got a couple of panels here to go on the inside. I'm just going to attach one for now. My last page has gotten, there we go, glued. I'll sit this one back here. So this panel is going to go right here and cover up a lot of this inside area. And then I've got my cover fabric was a piece, it was an upholstery sample. Like when you go to the special furniture store and they have all those samples hanging on the racks, and it had these 2 grommets in it. And I'm going to insert these pieces like this and use that as my closure. So that is going to stick out. I'm gonna have one on the front, one on the back, and I'm gonna put some ribbon through here. I'll probably tie it to one and thread it through the other and use that as my closure. I'm really excited about that. It took some noodling to figure out exactly how I was gonna use it, but before I do that, I have some book corners and I wanted to put those on this panel really quickly. And I've got a pair of pliers. I can link to these book corners down below. I just got them off of Amazon and they just pop on here. You can put a little glue on them. Get my, and if I didn't say it earlier, I'm using the Beacon Fabri-Tac. Boop, there we go. It is fast drying. It sticks anything to anything, just about. So it is one of my favorite glues. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of that inside of the book corner. And I'm gonna do that for each one. And this kind of holds them on. I found that if you just clamp them on, sometimes they wanna pop off. Of course, this is gonna be glued on to this other panel. So maybe it's not as big of a deal, but I just wanted to make sure they didn't try and come off on me. They want to do that every once in a while. My glue is very, very sassy today. I should just break down and get a fresh bottle out. When these bottles of glue get low, they want to just kind of, the lower they get, the more the glue, it just wants to keep coming out the top. So, all right, there we go. There's our 4 corners, which are super cute. I think it just adds a little something. I wanted to open up the front of this and just feel like it was like finished really nicely. So I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna gently pinch these down. And this is gonna take a few, so I am going to skip ahead to the point where I am done with this. I realized I might not totally have been on camera, so I'm just using, these pliers have no teeth on the inside. I couldn't find my flat nose, so these are needle nose or thereabouts. And I'm just squeezing these so that it closes them. These usually come kind of spread open and then you squash them shut. There are some holes, I'm guessing, so you can maybe put some sort of hardware. Again, not a professional bookbinder, but that looks really cute. I love it. Let me get rid of this string that's just kind of plaguing me right here. And which way is this gonna go? I think this way? This way. Why not? And I don't think it matters which one of these I use. I'm gonna try to center it up. So let me glue this down first. And I don't see why you can't do this same method. You can buy large grommets and use ribbon or something like that to kind of do this a similar type of closure. I was just kind of using what I had. I want this to be out a bit. So let's glue this down. Lots of glue. And then I'm going to put more glue on top of that and then a bunch of glue on the back of my panel. And get this all stuck together. all the way around all the edges. And into the middle. I think the edges are the most important. There we go. And without getting glue all over my fingers, moment of truth, just stick that down in a hopefully centered position. And I've got that thick front panel on. And I think that's gonna work quite nicely. There's my little grommet. Can I pull that out? Yeah, I'm gonna pull that out just a little bit. I want a little more length. I'm not worried about it being like deep enough. This is gonna get pretty thick, this journal. I'm assuming they all do. I'm gonna have this one on the other side, and then the ribbon will bridge the gap between the two. So if it does get quite big, I'm not too concerned about that. But I wanted enough that it would kind of fold over nicely and hang down. Now that I have that in, I wanted to add kind of a belly band on here. This is a piece of ribbon. It's actually the piece of ribbon I tore that end off of, the edge off of in, a previous video. It might have been the last one. Do not remember. But I just sewed it into a ruffle, and I'm gonna use that as a belly band. I'm gonna go, I want the scraggly, let's do the scraggly bit up high. And I'm just gonna glue the ends of that. And then my thought for the front of this, where is, again, my glue? My thought for the front of this was that I wanted a notebook. I wanted a piece that was separate from the rest of the journal, that if I wanted to take it with me, I could take it with me and write in it and bring it back, and not take the whole journal with me on a trip. And trying to make sure I get enough glue on this. I want this to be stuck down really, really well so I can get this notebook in and out. There we go. Got my little belly band down. The width of the journal is going to be the width of available space there inside the belly band. So I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to set it to the side. And I'm going to grab some paper, the things that I am going to make my little writing journal out of. So this is a piece of cardstock I have left. I printed a couple pages. Ooh, get this way out of the way. And then I just have some coffee dyed paper, and this is going to be my journal. I see that I did not cut these edges off. So let me cut off, I'm just going to cut off this one edge. This is printed on both sides. It is fairly thick cardstock. This is my neutral watercolor set, and I have one pattern on each side. And let's see, I'm gonna try to kind of figure out how wide this can be. I think I might be able to go right to this line right here. So I'm gonna use that as my guide and just go ahead and fold it. I can trim this down, that's what's great. And this is gonna be like a traveler's notebook size. I think I've never done like a traveler's notebook size journal. I really should. They are so very cute. And I do make, when I make my digitals, I usually make like a 12 by 12 sheet of the same patterns. So those would fold right in half and make a really cute traveler's notebook, and still just fit my whole theme and everything. So that's gonna have to be a project that for the future, to do a little notebook like that. All right, I'm still waiting for the glue to dry, but that should fit in there pretty well. I'm not gonna press my luck. I'm gonna trim this down just a little bit on the top and the bottom. And I feel like we should round the corners. It's gonna make it kind of fancy. And I can now find my punches, so that's a plus. All of my punches are in the punch basket on the top of the cart. I'm wondering how long this organization is really gonna last. It feels like, you know, when you freshly organize stuff, you're like, oh, I can find everything. This is working fantastic. And then you end up just tossing stuff all across the desk again anyway. we'll see. I'll have to let you know in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. How is this going for me? All right, so this is the cover for my little notebook, and I am just going to fill it with pages. Let's see here. I've got a pencil. I'm just gonna mark. Should open this up, huh? I want it to be just a little smaller. So let's do right there. And I'll use that one as a guide. I don't know how many pages I'm gonna do. Let's do them all. Why not? So this is 3 pieces of paper. It's all coffee dyed. It's been ironed. It's fairly flat. I've got some nice cutoffs now that I can play with later. And I'm gonna go ahead and round the corners on these as well. Well, I should check my height. Hold on. And we need to trim them down about there. And now I'm trying to decide how I want to put this together. Do I want to sew it? Do I want to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch? I don't know. All right. I wonder if I can punch all these at the same time. So I use the large corner. Or is my, aha, nice. Worked really well. Of course, now I can't get them all in there. Okay. Now I'm gonna just fold these all in half. That right in there. And I'm hoping to do more of these. Which way do I want to do this? Oh, this could be like the front page. Maybe. I don't know. I'm hoping to make several notebooks like this and put them throughout the journal. We will see where this project takes me. This is probably going to be like an ever-evolving project. I will do some decorating and a flip through on this, but I just feel like at a certain point, and those are gonna go right in there. And I think I'm just gonna sew this on the sewing machine. I feel like there's like a lump or something in there. There we go. I'm gonna sew this on the sewing machine right up the middle, and I'm gonna do that off camera. All right, so I got a row of stitching just right down the middle to finish off that little notebook. I used some clips to hold it all together the way I wanted it. And I folded it kind of backwards and ran some ink down the middle, and that gave me a line to sew on. So that just made it a little bit easier, a little bit neater to get that done. Had a little trouble with my machine. Realized I left part of it on the desk here. All right, so there is my little notebook. And this could definitely be decorated later. I most definitely will decorate at least something on the front of this. And let's see, slides right down in there. Yay! So cute. And then I'll either decorate the front of this or just put something simple on it, because again, the intention of this piece would be to take it with me, and too much embellishment will make it kind of a hassle. Like I'd be worried that I would damage the cover of it. So maybe I just decorate the front of this with some of my fun little snippets and things. I could put a little cluster. I could grab a fussy cut of some sort. They're in here somewhere. I can cut them out. I'm not really sure where they've gotten to. They're in this pile somewhere. But you get the idea. And this is just going to give me a practical, useful part of the journal that I can take with me on my travels. I could also cut some panels to go on the inside of this from my leftover paper to maximize that writing space and do something there. Or I could add some pockets and add like receipts and things like that. So there's a lot of options for this little notebook, and I will definitely put a little more work into it when I'm in the decorating phase of this journal. Well, thank you so much for watching me muddle through my glue catastrophe earlier. I hope that you're being inspired by my work on my travel junk journal. I'm going to be attaching the rest of these pieces and then doing some decorating, and the next video on this may just be a flip through. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see how this journal turns out, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.